Hello guys. So today we are going to discuss some design problems which are based on logarithmic mean temperature difference method or LMTD method. So before I get into the problems, I need to recapitulate some equations which we have already discussed in our previous lectures. So consider this just as a summary to give you an idea what all equations you are going to use. The first and foremost will be your overall heat transfer coefficient U, which is given by 1 by UIA is equal to 1 by UIAI equal to 1 by U0A0 equal to the net resistance R, which is the convective resistance plus the conductive resistance of the wall and the convective resistance of the outer surface area. Now this was a generic definitions which we described in our LMTD lecture. Now there might be two cases arising. First one is when the fluids, hot fluid and cold fluid, are separated by a plane wall. In such a case, your outer area as well as your inner area will be a common area. So both this AI and A0 will be the same. So in that particular case, you can have a single equation for overall heat transfer coefficient U as U equal to 1 by Hi, which is a part of this convection resistance, plus L by K, which is a part of the conduction resistance of the wall, which you have learned in conduction, and the convective resistance of the outer surface. Now another case is when the hot fluid and the cold fluid are separated by a hollow cylinder. In such a case, the resistance of the wall will change to the resistance equation of a hollow cylinder, 1 by 2 pi KL ln R0 by Ri. Now in this case, since AI is not equal to A0, we will have two overall heat transfer coefficients, Ui and U0. So Ui will be based on AI and U0 will be based on A0. So in this particular equation, we will substitute the resistance of wall of the cylinder, then this A0 and AI will be multiplied or crossed over to the other side and it will be reduced to this equation. Now don't worry by seeing this equation, oh, how will I memorize this equation. This equation is given in your data book, so you need not by heart it. Now most of our heat transfer equipments will be tubular in nature, so we will be dealing with this overall heat transfer coefficient Ui and U0, and these equations are already given in your data book. Now if you see that additionally two terms are also introduced in this, which is RFO and RFI, which is nothing but your fouling factors. Alright, so typically the value of U and RF is usually provided in the data book, but in most of the problems we will be estimating the value of U from our heat transfer coefficients Hi and H0, and in most of the problems fouling factors will also be not present, so that term can be neglected. And peculiarly in some problems the conduction resistance of the wall can also be neglected. For example, if the wall or the tube of the wall is very thin, then we need not mention the conduction resistance. So if the conduction resistance is absent and your fouling factors are not considered, then you can write the overall heat transfer coefficient based on purely your convective heat transfer coefficient of the inner surface and convective heat transfer coefficient of the outer surface. Now you may be asked to find out this Hi and H0 value depending on the fluid flow, which you have already learned in your convection chapter. So there might be a flow problem where the flow is hot oil flowing through the pipe, then you have to apply convection equations for flow through a pipe. Then on the outer annulus between the two pipes there might be cold water flowing, then you will have to apply convection equations for concentric pipes. But majorly if in a problem only Hi and H0 values are given, you can find overall heat transfer coefficient based on this equation. Now there are some other equations which we will be commonly using while solving the problems. The first one is the heat gained by the hot fluid will be, the heat lost by the hot fluid will be equal to the heat gained by the cold fluid, which we have already discussed as m dot h Cph T1 minus T2. Now note this capital T represents temperature of the hot fluid. In some literature it is also represented as Th and Here small t represents temperature of the cooled fluid. In some literature it is also represented by Tc. Now both these heat transfer rates are same, and this will be similar or equal to the heat transfer rate which is also estimated as UA delta T Lm, where this delta T Lm is the LMTD which we have already discussed. So this delta Tm is usually delta T1 minus delta T2 by ln delta T1 by delta T2, where delta T1 is a temperature difference at the inlet and delta T2 is a temperature difference out the outlet. Okay, now in certain problems where condensation or evaporations are involved, you will not have a temperature difference because both of those processes are phase change process. Okay, so you will be given the same temperature, so you cannot find QH by MH CPH T1 minus T2 which will equate to 0. In such cases you will have to find heat transferred Q dot as a product of mass flow rate and latent heat of fusion or vaporization. Okay, and the thing to remember is all these heat values will be same. So in a particular problem, maybe m dot h will be missing, but all the other terms will be present. You will be asked to find m dot h, then you will use the equation. Or maybe T1 might be missing, or T2 might be missing, or you might know all these value, you will not be able to find delta Tm. So like that problems will be given. Okay, now mostly when we are considering heat exchanger problems, practically the term of importance is this area AS. What will be the equivalent surface area? So based on this surface area, our size of heat exchanger will change. So if it is a pipe, you will have a particular diameter and a particular length to achieve the surface area. So whatever higher areas means we need to have a bigger heat exchanger. Okay, and you need not worry about this equation or to by heart this equation. These datas are also given in your data book. So this is a screenshot of your data book which we already discussed. Okay, so if you want to use, you can use this equation, substitute this equation for a parallel flow to find what T1, T2, small t1, t2, etc. You can check this notations, or you can just by heart or understand this particular equation for LMTD, which is nothing but delta T1 minus delta T2 by ln delta T1 by delta T2, and by drawing your temperature profile diagram for a parallel flow and counter flow, you will be able to estimate delta Tm. So we will be discussing all these things with certain example problems. So basically the design problems will we will have to address all these questions. First and foremost, we will be able, or we will be asked to estimate the overall heat transfer coefficient U. Then in certain questions we will be asked to find the heat transfer rate Q, which is occurring in a particular heat exchanger. So while finding out the value of Q, some temperatures might be unknown. So inlet temperatures will be given, you will be asked to find what will be the outer temperature, like that. Or mass flow rates will be unknown, you will be asked to find out what will be the mass flow rate of hot fluid that needs to be maintained in order to keep this particular temperature, and likewise. But from an engineering point of view, the predominant question is the dimensional aspects of a heat exchanger, which usually includes you to find the area, the length or diameter of the heat exchanger pipes. So we are going to discuss or do some problems which will cover all these aspects applied for parallel flow, counter flow as well as cross flow arrangements. So the first problem is based on overall heat transfer coefficient. In a refinery, fuel oil is to be cooled from 10 degrees centigrade to 40 degrees centigrade by water at 25 degrees centigrade flowing on the outside of the tube. The inner diameter is given as 25 mm. The oil flow rate is 1 kg per second. Water is heated to 45 degrees centigrade. Full stop. The tube is made of 0.5% carbon steel of thickness 3 mm. The inner diameter of the outer pipe is 62.5 mm. The outside may be considered as insulated. Now they have given the properties of oil at 70 degrees centigrade. Density they have given, kinematic viscosity they have given, and the conductivity K they have given. The specific heat Cp also they have mentioned. The question is to find out the overall heat transfer coefficient. Also they have given the conductivity for the material K. So this is a typical heat transfer or heat exchanger problem, where it is a double pipe, and through the inner pipe, oil to be cooled from 100 degrees centigrade to 40 degrees centigrade is flowing, and that oil is cooled by water which is flowing outside the tube at 25 degrees centigrade. Now, as a result of cooling, the temperature of water increases to 45 degrees centigrade. So in such a problem, your first task is to identify which is the hot fluid and which is the cold fluid. Write down those temperatures. If possible, you can even draw a small construction diagram. Okay, alright. Now here they have asked to find the overall heat transfer coefficient U. So we know that the equation for U consists of terms including convection heat transfer coefficient Hi, the fouling factor Rf, the conduction resistance, the outer heat transfer coefficient HO. So we need to estimate all these parameters, that is HO, Hi, the conductive resistance Rk, then the fouling factor for outside and inside, to estimate the overall heat transfer coefficient. So this procedure for finding HO and Hi is the one we discussed in convective heat transfer coefficient. Okay, so we have two fluids, one is oil and the other one is water. So first we will start from water, which is flowing in the annular area. So this annular area can be imagined as a concentric tube. So we need to find out the properties of water. So they have given water, it was initially at 25 degrees centigrade, it changed temperature to 45 degrees centigrade. So our film temperature will be 25 plus 45 by 2, which is equal to 35 degrees centigrade. Okay, now we are going to find the properties of density, kinematic viscosity and conductivity from the data book corresponding to water at 35 degrees centigrade. We had already discussed in our convection chapter. Okay, now since it is an annular or a concentric tube, we need to find out the hydraulic mean radius. Okay, so the outer pipe, the diameter is given as 62.5 mm, which translates to 0.0625 meter. Okay, now this is the outer diameter of the concentric pipe. To find the inner diameter, we have the inner diameter of the inside pipe is 25 mm, and they have given that the thickness of the pipe is 3 mm. So there is thickness on the top and bottom. So the outer diameter of the inner pipe will be 25 plus 6, which is 31 mm. Hence our hydraulic mean diameter will be obtained as 0.0625 minus 0.31 meter. So once we get this hydraulic mean diameter, now we want to find the mass flow rates. Okay, right. So hot water, it is flowing at a rate of 1 kilogram per second. So mass flow rate of hot water is given. The specific heat of hot water is also given, right? No, specific heat of oil is given. The temperature of the oil is given. The temperature of hot water is given. So by energy analysis, if we equate, we can find out what is the mass flow rate of water. Now the specific heat of water is 4180. That is a default value which you need to remember. So by solving this, we will get the mass flow rate of water as 1.5 kilogram per second. Okay, the density of water is 998.5 kilogram per meter cube, corresponding to this temperature. Okay, now the flow area will be the since the water is flowing through the outer pipe, the flow area will be the annular area, which is pi by 4 dO square minus di square. So now we have an area, we have a mass flow rate. So we can find the velocity of water by equating mass flow rate equal to m dot equal to rho AC. So A will rho AC, where C is the velocity, or rho AV, where V is the velocity. So to find velocity, we will have m dot by rho A, so it will account to 0.6574. So once we get the velocity, we can now estimate whether the flow is laminar or turbulent. So by calculating Reynolds number, which is Vd by nu is a kinematic viscosity, we will get the Reynolds number. Okay, so once Reynolds number is estimated, we will go to the data book page number corresponding to internal flow, and we find that this case is a turbulent case, and for a turbulent case, using hydraulic mean diameter, the empirical correlation for Nusselt number is given as such. from this Nusselt number we will be able to find the outer heat transfer coefficient H0. So this was for the water side. Similarly, we can determine for the oil side, which is a flow inside a tube. So within the tube, the Reynolds number Re is given by 4m by pi d mu, where d is the diameter. So by solving this, you will get the Reynolds number. So this for an inside flow is a laminar flow, and we are going to assume constant wall temperature and fully developed. So this is an assumption. You can assume other parameters depending on your question or criteria. By this assumption, you will have a Nusselt number value of 3.66. From this, you can find the inside heat transfer coefficient. So the first step of the problem was to find out the outside heat transfer coefficient and the inside heat transfer coefficient, which we found out by the methods we used in our convection problems. So once we have HI and HO, the second thing we need to find out is the fouling factor. Now in your data book itself, there is a provision for fouling factor given in the data book. So you can see inside we have fuel oil and outside we have water. So the taking values of fouling resistance from the oil side and water side, we will get RFI and RFO. So now we have all the related values which are required to find out our overall heat transfer coefficient. Now remember, this is a concentric pipe, so we will have an inner heat transfer coefficient as well as an outer heat transfer coefficient. So first we are going to find outer overall heat transfer coefficient 1 by U0. So this equation you can note it down from your data book. It is given in page number below this table. So substituting all the values for tube material KS53, when we solve, you get the outside heat transfer coefficient U0, overall heat transfer coefficient, as 16.08 watt per meter square Kelvin. Now similarly, you can also estimate the inside value, UI value, and you will get an answer similar to 19.95. Okay, now this particular problem culminates all the possible complexities which can arrive in your academic questions. Okay, so this has included your fouling factor, your thermal conductivity, as well as finding out heat transfer coefficients HI and HO. Your academic problems might be simpler, where they will directly give you the values of HI and HO. Don't worry, those problems are discussed in additional LMTD problems which I am attaching in the description. Alright, now we will do a problem on parallel and counterflow heat exchanger. So here we are required to determine the area in a parallel flow heat exchanger. It is cooling oil from 60 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade. It is using water. It is available at 20 degrees centigrade. The outlet temperature of water is also given as 26 degrees centigrade. The flow rate of oil is 10 kg per second. The specific heat is given. The overall heat transfer coefficient U here is directly given. And then we are asked to compare the area of the parallel flow with the counterflow arrangement. Now whenever a parallel flow or counterflow heat exchanger comes, the first task you have to do is draw the temperature profile. So since it is a parallel flow, hot water temperature or hot fluid temperature will decrease, cold fluid temperature will increase, directions are same. Try to write down all the temperatures. So hot water temperature, hot oil temperature is 60 degrees centigrade, outer temperature is 30, note down 20 degrees centigrade and 26 degrees centigrade. Now we are asked to find out the area. So the only equation that is connecting area, LMTD and heat transfer is Q is equal to UA LMTD. So we have to find out the LMTD for this particular flow problem. So before we find LMTD, we need to find what is the heat transfer Q happening. Okay. Now since all the temperature values and mass flow rate are given for the hot fluid, we can find out what is the heat transfer rate happening for the hot fluid as m dot h ch into thi minus tho. All values are known, which accounts to 660 kilowatts. Okay, so now we know the heat transfer value Q. So if we equate this Q value to the UA-LMTD, the area A can be estimated. U is already given in the equation, A is what we need to find, and LMTD can be found out for a parallel flow heat exchanger. Now this LMTD equation, they have written it based on the basic equation, which is delta T1, which is the temperature difference at the inlet, minus delta T2 divided by ln delta T1 by delta T2. You can either remember your formulas with respect to the temperature profile, or you can directly substitute the equations available in the data book. Both ways will be correct. Be careful that you substitute the proper temperatures. So you will get the LMTD values as 15.635. Okay, now it is not mentioned in this question, but if they have asked to find out what is the mass flow rate of cold fluid, you can again use the same heat transfer Q and equate it as m dot C Cc into TCO minus TCI, and you can find out the mass flow rate of cold fluid. So first important thing to note is this heat transfer is the same as this heat transfer. Okay, so now you have the LMTD corresponding to parallel flow. We substitute it, equate, and we find the area to be 140.71. Again, they have asked in the question, what will be the area when it is compared to a counter flow? So the same temperature profiles, now the arrangement has changed to a counter flow arrangement. So we change the temperature profile diagram. Hot fluid, there is a small correction. The arrow has to be in this direction. Okay, so please rectify this. So the arrow has to be in this direction. You just need to rectify that. Okay, so if you solve it, again the LMTD will be delta T1 minus delta T2. You can get the LMTD, substitute it, and you will get the area as 112.18 meter square. So here they have also found out the mass flow rate of cold water by estimating the equation. So if you compare both the areas, you can see that the area in a parallel flow arrangement is much more higher than an area in counter flow, which is one of the reasons in most of the cases we are going to use counter flow arrangements. Now we're going to discuss a problem on shell on tube heat exchanger. When we are discussing the theory, we told that it follows the same procedure as our parallel flow and counter flow. The only problem is that we cannot estimate the LMTD for a parallel flow, for a shell and tube directly. For that we need to find out a correction factor. So the only difference in this problem will be finding out that correction factor. So there is particularly you have to determine the area for a shell and tube heat exchanger. Now it is mentioned here, it has two tubes, which is important, you have to notice this, and it passes cool oil at a rate of 10 kg per second. So the mass flow of the cold fluid is given, the temperature is given, and that cold fluid is flowing through the shell, which you have to note, and it is using water, and this water is at temperature which is flowing through the tubes and is heated up to 26 degrees centigrade. Now the specific heat of oil is given, value of overall heat transfer coefficient is given, U is given. So the task here is to find the area itself, but now the arrangement has changed to a shell and tube heat exchanger. Okay, so we are going to use the same procedure to find out the heat transfer Q, which is MHCH delta T, and we will get it as 660 kilowatt. Now the way to do a shell and tube heat exchanger problem is to find the LMTD based on a counter flow arrangement. So here it is not drawn, but you can still draw a temperature profile diagram for a counter flow arrangement across the same temperatures, and with that temperature values you can first find the LMTD for a counter flow arrangement. To correct this LMTD for a shell and tube, we need to find the correction factor F. So if you check the your data book, that table where all the formulas are given, you can see across the formula for shell and tube heat exchanger, the Q will be given as FUA delta TLM. So in order to find that F, which is a correction factor, we need to find two parameters or two temperature ratios, P and R. Now how this temperature ratios are found is based on the question. Now here it is given a shell and tube heat exchanger with 2 tube passes. So if we go in your data book, you can see a particular page where it will be given title shell and tube heat exchanger with single pass or two pass, or sorry, single pass, single shell with multiple passes. You will see a title and you can see a chart. So here they are given the equations for P as well as R. So here it is T1 minus T2 by T2 minus T1, T2 minus T1 by T1 minus T1. What this capital T and small t represents is given in this diagram. So you can see this temperature corresponds to the fluid which is flowing through the shell, and small t corresponds to the temperature of the fluid flowing through the tube. So first identify which fluid is flowing through the tube and which fluid is flowing through the shell. Once we have draw this diagram and write the temperatures, then you can substitute for T1, T2, etc. and find the values of P and R. So in this particular problem, they have found the value of P as 0.15 and R as 5. Now we go to the chart corresponding to P equal to 0.15 and R is equal to 5. So if we see P is on the x-axis, so 0.15 will be this line. But if we come to check for R value is only given till 4. There is no curve given for R equal to 5. So you need to approximate, or based on the trend which is being followed, you can you have to estimate that there is a curve here for R is equal to 5, which is a generic approximation. Where this 0.15 and R will meet, you can take the value of correction factor F from the y axis. So for example, if it was 0.15 and R is equal to 4, your value would have been 0.15 corresponding to R is equal to 4 will be somewhere around 0.94. But here R is not equal to 4, here R is equal to 5. So you can imagine another curve which is going through here. So approximately you can say the correction factor may be around 0.85 to 0.875. So in this particular problem they have took it as 0.875, but this approximation is up to you because it is taken from the chart. If you take a higher value for correction factor, your area will become higher, or you will have a larger value of heat transfer area, but substitute that and you will get the area of the heat exchanger. So this is for shell and tube heat exchangers. The first thing you have to notice is how many shells are there and how many tube passes are there, which fluid is flowing through the shell, which fluid is flowing through the tube. Then you have to draw the temperature profile for an LMTD arrangement. After drawing the LMTD in a counter flow arrangement, you find out the LMTD. On that LMTD you need to multiply a correction factor F. To find that F, you use a chart. From that chart you will substitute it as the usual formula, Q is equal to F into U into A into delta T LM. Now this formula I am again mentioning, you need not by heart, it is already mentioned in your data book. Okay, now we will discuss a problem on cross flow heat exchanger. Now the shell and tube as well as cross flow heat exchanger, they work similarly. The only difference is the chart that we use to find out the correction factor changes. Okay, the procedures are the same. You need to find out the area. You can find out the heat transfer rate from the hot fluid or the cold fluid. Next, you will find the LMTD for a counter flow arrangement. After finding the LMTD for a counter flow arrangement, you need to find the correction factor F. Now to find the correction factor F, you need to take the appropriate chart from the data book. Now in this question you need to note for the condition of fluid flow. Here it is given as a cross flow heat exchanger with both fluids unmixed. So we are going to take the correction factor plot for a single pass cross flow heat exchanger with both fluids unmixed. Based on this diagram, here small t can be your cold fluid, capital T can be your hot fluid. Based on that, you can estimate the value of R and P. Find out the values of R and P as mentioned in this question. Here R is 2.4, P is 0.18. So if we check here, P 0.18 will be here. R is equal to 2.4. We do not have a line for 2.4, but we have a line for 2 and a line for 3. So somewhere around here you will have another line for R equal to 2.4 if you imagine. So 0.18 will go here and meet somewhere around here. So this will be your correction factor value F, which is almost close to 1. So I suggest it will be 0.97 or 98. In this particular problem they have took the value of F to be 0.97. So based on that they found area by Q is equal to UA LMTD. This LMTD should be the LMTD corresponding to the cross flow, which is nothing but LMTD of the counter flow multiplied by the correction factor. Alright, so this discuss all the basic problems that might come in a heat exchanger design problem. So there is a overall heat transfer coefficient problem, then there is a simple parallel flow and counter flow problem, then there is this shell and tube and cross flow problems. Alright, I am attaching this file in the description. You can download this tutorial file from the description. So that should have given you some introduction into the problems or design problems. I am attaching a file with additional problems in the descriptions. You can go there and download it. So here I have attaching some solved problems which is relevant with the LMTD method for counter flow as well as parallel flow. So you can see or solve different problems, and towards the end I have also included certain problems based on cross flow arrangements as well. So you can follow these lectures, try to work out these problems. There are some varieties or some complications can happen in each and every question, so I recommend you to solve these problems. And any doubts, please contact me. You can ask your doubts in the comment section and I will get back to you. So see you in the next lecture.